and it's always key for Hirsch. If he can get a couple of stops early, a guy who loves playing with emotion on his sleeves, then he can go. But if a few go past him, could be a tough day. It's going to be Fairfield in the white jerseys going from right to left on your screen. Monmouth in the road blues. Kind of two very clean looks that we have for those that enjoy uniform watches. Fairfield, they dominate at the dot, and this is something that if the Stags get going, the likes of Daniel Davis, as a violation is on Monmouth. If they can get going, it's going to be a long day for Monmouth.
Well, and that's a huge matchup where Fairfield, you mentioned it, they're already so good, but that's also a spot where Monmouth has really struggled this season. They've struggled in the face-off circle there. They've only winning face-offs at a 43% clip, and you see that translate right there into the early goal.
Devin Lamperin, the freshman from Massachusetts, getting goal number 28 of the season. And, I mean, this is a classy take, a little wraparound finish.
Well, we saw Keegan Lynch there sending it over there to X, and the big wraparound. We said score quick for Fairfield, just took them 23 ticks, and they're on the scoreboard.
The Stags' fourth best offense in the country at 14.5 goals per game. And at home this season, they have never failed in league play to score in the double digits. In fact, the only time that they were held below 10 goals at home was that overtime 8-7 victory against Manhattan. And that was in the back-to-back overtime winners for Fairfield against MAC opposition, when both game winners ended up with celebrations in a big snowbank behind the Fairfield bench. As a hold will go against the Stags, it will be Monmouth's first ball. Now, this is where, in speaking with head coach Brian Fisher earlier this week, he did say, we're going to need a little bit of everything on the face-off. You know, they've got Landon Parker, who's really starting to develop. Ethan Kronk has been hot and cold over the course of this season, but we need everybody to get in and amongst it, and that even means for the guys behind the restraining lines.
Those ground balls, so important. Nice big hit there, trying to take it away at the midfield.
And the helmet immediately comes off from Matt Perazzo, and this is going to be Fairfield possession.
Just sandwiched right in between Lamperin and Lynch, getting in on the mix in that midfield play.
Calls turnovers, that's the name of the game for Fairfield, 11.6, which is first in the CAA, second in the country. And the Stags offense will go back to work. In goal is Tommy Heller, the grad student formerly of UAlbany, 17 saves in each of his last 2 games.
Yeah, he's playing really well. I mentioned, we talked to Monmouth's coach before the game. He's saying that Heller's playing some of his best lacrosse of his career.
Yeah, which unfortunately for him is coming right at the end of his career, but sometimes you have that when you look back and say, hey, at least I finished on a high. I did everything that I could. As that was John Akupski throwing into the mix. It comes back to the center line, knocked back and picked up by 22 in blue. That's Miles Edmiston. And now here comes Monmouth on the attack. Brendan Dundas, who wears number 10, closed off by Fairfield's Eli Adams. This Fairfield defensive trio of Adams, Julian Radosic, and Nate Livingston have been monsters around the crease, which is why Nate Hirsch, part of it, has one of the best goals against in the country, first in the league at 9.03.
You'd mentioned caused turnovers earlier, and solely getting in on the mix, but Radosic, just a sophomore in his second year on this team, twice now, has set the program record in caused turnovers. He's upped his last year's total up to 37 already on the year.
And that was Wilkins Soley a couple of years ago, the CAA Rookie of the Year. First teamer in the conference last year with 40 points, but he, like so many, will get the job done on both sides of the ball. As Jake Gilbert, junior from Foxborough, Mass., 33 points this year. Will steady things down. Second line for Fairfield. Jason LeMay Jr., good for a goal or 2 per game. On top of the crease, and that's a big hit right on top of the crease. The referee is going to say the violation on Devin Lamperin, who tried for the acrobatics once again, but denied.
And trying to dodge his way inside, and yeah, it looks like he got a piece of the crease out in front.
Excuse me, that was Luke Fisher that took that vicious hit. Fisher, the grad student formerly from Denison, one of a number of Division III transfers that Andrew Baxter has kind of really relied upon over the last couple of years, getting those glue pieces, those veteran guys to come in, play the small roles, but play it at a high level. Dundas behind the cage. Like I said, keep your eye on Caffarelli, who wears 44, but Don't forget about Sean Ketchen, who wears 11, the grad student. Scored the winner last week in overtime against Delaware.
Ketchen's really coming to his own in conference play. Certainly steady as of late. You mentioned the game winner in overtime, a huge win over Delaware last week to knock them out of contention.
And that's where Coach Fisher is saying that, hey, yeah, we do have a lot of experienced guys on our roster, but even the younger guys that are coming through have really stepped up. And it's that selfless mentality as Fairfield quickly out of the box. Consoli with the best pass in the world to Luka Kupski. But if you can have that collective buy-in, that's also something that you've seen a lot of from Fairfield this season. It's that we before I mentality. Why the Stags for the second straight year have clinched a spot in the CAA tournament. Great dodging by Moore, gets into the far alley. Good block. That was Hayden Chester, a long stick midi, getting in front of that shot. Consoli with the drive, goes wide.
It's been good to see. Fairfield comes out, they throw the punch to the mouth with the quick goal, just 23 ticks in from Lamprin, and now they're looking to settle in that offense, find some lanes. We've seen some really strong passing early on.
Lamprin once again behind the back, nearly connected with a teammate. And a nice ground ball by Chester, the junior from Newport Beach, California. Monmouth will settle in here. It's been raining on and off over the course of warm-ups. Got a lot of rain last night here, so the turf at Rafferty Stadium, albeit play through it easily, but it's going to be slick. Good save by Hirsch. He had to go post to post. It's a crease violation on Matt Perazzo, but that's a confidence-building stop.
Yeah, we had talked about it before the game, JJ, but for Hirsch, he's been playing really well. Bit of a struggle against Towson, who they dominated in that second half, but to get one early, to get a stop like that, build the confidence, now let your offense get back to work.
It's the little things, a stop, a simple collection and a pass, get a good clear. As I say, that Fairfield violation. But those are the things that get you into a game. And Hirsch has had some moments this year. You go back to the end of last month, Stony Brook giving up 6 straight right out of the start. That Drexel game right before. If you can build, and any goalie can say this, if you build your way into a game, boy, the game becomes a lot easier. Nick Teets, the senior from Schwankville, Pennsylvania, with 19 points this year, goes to Luke Cole. Cole, a senior out of Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Pretty experienced roster with 10 seniors and 4 grad students for the Hawks. Only bringing in 11 players after last year's team went 2-5 in the CAA. Jake Schneider reverses back to the far alley, and that one goes in. Nick Teets gets the scoring started for Monmouth.
Well, the Hawks have had a couple tries on the offensive end. We saw Hirsch with a big stop in the crease violation the last time. This time, low to high, little sidewinder beats Hirsch low and left, and all tied up. Monmouth has done well to balance things out, and they've had some good possessions on the offensive end.
Teets just getting into double digits in points against CAA opponents. Got off to a really good start earlier on the season against Mount St. Mary's with couple goals and an assist. A couple of goals against Wagner as well, but he had a goal and an assist last week against Delaware. And there's a face-off win as the Pole Miles Edmiston coming away with it. But there's Julian Radosic, almost using like a hockey-style background, putting it between his own legs to get the ground ball. Fairfield now will try to settle things in here. Where were you all last night during that Capitals Canadiens absolute brouhaha at the end of the second period? That was something that we haven't seen quite some time, but hockey references there, you're going to go for it. Comes to Consoli. Tommy Heller save percentage, by the way, entering today at 53%. Fairfield picking up the tempo. They cycle it around, pass in the middle is a good one. The shot goes in. Keegan Lynch get goal 19 on the year.
And that was such a well-executed play from the Stags, and great to see them punch back so quickly. But Consoli down to Gilbert, and Lynch just breaks free from the defenders. He had a couple men around him, looked like Seaman was the one he broke away from to get that goal right out in front. And Stags now jump right back in front.
The sophomore out of Baldwinsville, New York. Had a really impressive first season with Fairfield with 24 points, 13 of those coming against the league. But Lynch has really come into his own. In fact, he has almost outscored his point total last year just in league play alone this year, with now 22 points against the CAA. And you look at this balanced scoring that Fairfield has, 5 different players have registered over 13 points in the league. Lynch goes from low to high, hesitation from Lamprin, and it goes in! Well, it looked like Heller had it for a moment, but Devon's got 2 goals here in the opening period.
Fairfield coming to life. You said it earlier, they've been moving the ball so well. Lynch now to the top, and a little hesitation, faking low to high, then coming over the top and really just caught Heller up, almost on the wrist there. He couldn't come up with the stop. It trickles in.
I love that look because it almost felt like with Lamprin, I thought real time he lost control of it. He ended up using a defender as a screen on Heller, who didn't see that ball until it was too late.
Fairfield Stags goal scored by
Landon Parker in on the faceoff for Monmouth. Austin McClintock having a moment, but Fairfield come away with it again. Shane Elliott nearly came away with it, but it will be back over the Hawks. Knocked out of play by Dominic Giglio, the sophomore from Wall, New Jersey.
That's a huge play from this Monmouth team in the midfield to get the ball back. Now let's get another good look on the net and try and stick in this one. You cannot let the Stags offense run away.
And Monmouth, they're a team that can go out and get goals. In fact, actually, their second halves of games are probably where they excel a little bit more. Their highest scoring quarter is in the third with 42 goals on the year. They get over 11 goals per contest. It's just those intangible 50-50 plays. If you can win a few of those, you're going to feel like you're right in it because you know you've got the scoring balance. Might not have the same firepower to match Fairfield, but at least you've got 5 or 6 different guys who can put up 2 or 3 points a day. Ryan O'Rourke in on this set, junior from Merrick, New York. That pass over the mark of Caden Kesselring. And Nate Livingston comes up with that ground ball. That is now the 5th turnover for Monmouth here in this opening quarter.
We haven't seen much from Ty Caffarelli yet. We know he's kind of that bell cow back in terms of the offensive end of things.
There goes Matt Rice doing what he has done over the last 3+ seasons. The senior from Maryland. Just a one-man wrecking crew in clearing. A number of these Fairfield players playing their last game at home. The Stags did have an opportunity if they won that game against Towson last week where they could play for that hosting rights in the CAA tournament. It would have been just the 2nd time that they would have hosted the CAA tournament since joining the league. But there's something that's to be said about going to a place where you hadn't won earlier this year and having that unfinished business mentality.
Especially so recently, right? You're able to get back there and try and win it when it really counts.
That's something that both the Fairfield men's and the women's programs will be facing over the course of next week, as the women finishing 2nd in the MAC women's lacrosse division. They're going to be going to the Mount next week. So Fairfield men actually about an hour away from each other, so there might be some good Fairfield support. Meanwhile, transition, look, and that shot is saved. Oh, it's a great save by Hirsch, pushing that effort wide from O'Rourke.
It was a great save, but the offensive set all initiated with Gabe Bowen's slot on the other end, a big hit to set things up, and they're maybe caught an end of the stick, if not the toe of Hirsch.
And Hirsch just trying to absorb that look, if nothing else, going down to the seat of his pants to make that save. But they all count the same. Caffarelli, maybe one of the first times we've called his name, just even cycling the ball. Teets reverses to Caffarelli, but a good check by Livingston forces it wide.
Yeah, that's a great stop, staying right on him, and he's been the man on Caffarelli all afternoon thus far, and we have not talked about him a whole lot through the first 10 and a half.
Yeah, Livingston just only played a couple of games this season ago, but has been a regular in the lineup for Andrew Baxter. Starting all but one game this season, takeaway by Rory Thompson, another one of those seniors playing in their last game at home. Thompson out of Binghamton, New York. And don't sleep past the pulls for Fairfield, not in this situation likely, but Thompson's got a goal. We've seen Eli Adams score this year. Austin McClintock against Hofstra earlier this month had a goal and an assist. Radosic has found the back of the net as well this year. That's scary balance. You often talk about on teams where you have those 3, 4 great scores. If you're getting potential goals from 7, 8, and then maybe your polls getting a few on the season, that becomes so difficult for any team to try and scout. Oh, that one nearly jarred loose by Lamprin.
With 3.5 minutes left in this first quarter, JJ, feels like a big possession for Monmouth. They were able to respond after the quick Fairfield goal to open things up in the first few minutes. Now that offense has gone radio silence, they've got to find something good.
Goes to Kesselring, junior from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Don't hear about too much lacrosse going on down there, but hey, that's how much this game has grown over the past couple of years. O'Rourke dodging. Lost his balance, but got a shot off anyways. Misses wide of the mark. Still 30 left on the shot clock, so plenty of time for Monmouth to go to work. It's a great pass in the middle, but credit Livingston with the stick lift, and then there was a player that goes into the crease. We're gonna have a conversation here about this. This might be coming back, and it is gonna be Monmouth ball.
Another look there coming across. You mentioned that was Livingston again with a really good stick, and it was 50 who fell across the crease, Perazzo, but he was shoved in there.
Yeah, it was Luka Kupski that ended up getting that little nudge. That was a great play though by Livingston, and those are the plays that don't necessarily show up in the box score, those little stick lifts, those alterations, but that's where this dynamic trio of Livingston, Adams, and Radosic have been so tough to break down this season. So a reset of the shot clock now for Monmouth as Teets dodges, reverses, Caffarelli, no space.
All over him. That time it was Eli Adams there, Livingston within a stick length as well.
Speaking with Coach Baxter earlier this season, really prides his group's work on creating that friction and getting sticks on gloves, not even allowing players to have any chance of picking apart a pass or a shot. But how about that, a little behind the back from Perazzo, and it's a 1-goal game.
Well, that's a big one. We said that the final 3.5 minutes would be important for the Monmouth offense. Getting things to X, a good cut across from Perazzo and the pretty finish top shelf.
Perazzo, just his 4th goal of the season, by the way. Had a 4-point day against Hampton at the beginning of CAA play. He had a goal last week against Delaware. Feeling confident about his game. And that's the other thing for Monmouth, for a lot of these younger players, freshmen, sophomores, even juniors. It's an opportunity to make a statement, a final statement to your coaching staff to say, hey, we haven't getting a lot of run in the first team for either attack, mid, or defense. Maybe promotion from long stick midi up to full-time D. This is your chance to do it. So otherwise, you're going to be sitting around up until next February to make your next claim for it in game action. Fairfield leading in shots 7-5 with a minute 45 left to go. Cole getting past Andrew Caston, reverses to this near alley. So you see the ball movement pick up a little bit as Dundas has been going to work behind the cage. Dundas dodging. Closed off well by Eli Adams. Big defenders, Adams, 6'2" out of Webster, New York. Flag comes flying, man up opportunity now. Sean Ketchin, he scores! I was about to say, Monmouth got one of the best man-up groups in the country. They don't need it there because they tie on the goal from Ketchin.
And this has been such a good close to the first quarter. Still a minute left or so there, but A little bit of a dodge around, creates a little bit of space with the shoulder and just beats Hirsch up high to tie things up.
So back-to-back goals that are assisted by Brendan Dundas. Oh, they are going to assess the penalty. Thought for a second that was going to be waved off, but Shane Elliott's going to sit for a minute here. Crucial face-off coming for both of these teams.
And you mentioned it, JJ, the man-up squad for Monmouth. One of the best in the conference, converting at a 42% clip.
Top 20 in the NCAA as well, as you see the look on the penalty coming. Hit to the head right in front of the referee. Not going to hide from those. There's a delay because they had to sort out who's actually going to be sitting down, but it is eventually Elliott who will go. A violation that goes against Dylan Smith. It's a big mistake for the grad student. Now Monmouth can't get that man-up unit to get their first action today.
Stags penalty on number 15, Shane Elliott. 1 minute for cross checking at 1 minute 12
get
seconds
looks on
of the
this. Ketchin as a man-up goal, Teets as a man-up goal, Caffarelli this year, he's got 4 of them. So keep an eye on Jake Schneider with the ball. He does have a man-up goal as well. That pass was altered. Big ground ball picked up by Fairfield. Snapped up by P.J. McGoldrick, who needs help. He just threw that into space. Good ride by Monmouth and some extras over by the benches. Teets got tangled up. Still 15 seconds on the man up for Monmouth, but they can hold at least for the last shot of the quarter. Is to note that at this end of the field, there is no scoreboard, so Monmouth's going to have to rely on their bench to count it out. Penalty has expired, so back to 6-on-6. Dundas has to reverse, down to 5. Comes to Schneider. Schneider with 2, he's got to get a look off, and the horn's going to go. Well, the Monmouth bench not vocal enough. Monmouth not getting a look to end the quarter, but after 15 minutes, we remain level. It was 0-0 to start, now 3-3 after 1. You're watching the Lacrosse TV CAA Game of the Week here from Fairfield, Connecticut.
Excitement going after the game. Geronimo Tequila Bar.
Your greatest critic is right here. Now that is poetry. That's Fandom U. It's all part of the curriculum.
The NCAA D1, D2, and D3 men's and D1 women's lacrosse championships. May 23rd through the 26th in Boston. Buy your seats today at ncaa.com/tickets.
Class dismissed.
Illicit Brewing Company in Fairfield, Connecticut has everything you need for a night out. Dozens of house-brewed draft beers, guest taps, a full bar, live entertainment, dozens of TVs to catch the game, a speakeasy and game room, brew pub style food offerings, and more. This commercial isn't long enough to show you everything Illicit has to offer. So come see it for yourself. Illicit Brewing, 111 Black Rock Turnpike in Fairfield. IllicitBrewing.com.
This is where we thrive. The city, the shore, our home.
This is where we chase our dreams. Donde trabajamos duro por nuestra familia.
And serve our communities. This is where everyone, from all walks of life, works together as one team.
This is the place where we grow and become our best selves.
This is Chick-fil-A Tri-State.
Why is the U.S. Ski and Snowboard team proud to have Headlam as their official non-alcoholic beer sponsor? Because when you're bombing down a mountain at 100 miles per hour with only spandex and lip balm for protection, you definitely don't want to buzz. You want cold, crisp, great-tasting American beer without the booze. Because staying upright is kinda important, right? Headlam, brewed to be wild.
Welcome back here to Fairfield, Connecticut. Getting a look at the Monmouth coaching staff, which includes Brian Fisher, now in his 12th season with the Hawks, a couple of times MAC champions before moving over to the CAA in 2023, has to be happy with the response from his group as we're underway. Fairfield getting the ball and an early chance. That was saved by Tommy Heller. It was quickly off the face-off, and the effort from Lynch goes high.
How about Fairfield coming out hot? They had a really good look right out of the gates. I think that was Daniel Davis. Couldn't cash in, then Lynch followed up, just missing high.
Yeah, not the first time that Davis has gone face-off win and straight for goal. Lynch already this season with Davis with 4 tallies. Will Consoli, he lost the, wow, that's a bit of a strange one there. He just straight up lost the stick. Talk about baseball, you get that pine tar on there, but might need to add a little here.
JJ, we mentioned face-offs would be something to watch out for. Fairfield coming into the day on paper at least with a huge edge, but at the end of the first quarter, all tied up, 4 wins apiece.
Yeah, it's a credit to what Monmouth have been doing and quickly reassessing. You know, Landon Parker, that freshman from the state of Michigan, it's actually the national, I was reading this on his bio, the national face-off record holder for career and a single season at Grand Ledge High School. It is, of course, a big step up going from high school to the collegiate level, but if you're known only of having success, then you're only going to expect success. That's a great pass in the middle to Caffarelli, but just lost it, and Owen Hirsch snaps it up.
One more time trying to feed Caffarelli. No breathing room. This time it was Radosic all over him just outside of the crease.
As Fairfield a successful clear. Both teams failing once on 6 attempts in the first quarter. Ethan Kronk also has gotten off to a good start from Monmouth, going 3 of 6 to begin the game. It's a delayed substitution that passed behind Luka Kopsky.
Just an unforced error.
Now, you and I were talking before this game, kind of that mentality for Fairfield. You know that you're in. You're going to be the 2 seed now with Drexel losing last night to Delaware. You're trying to find that motivation. Oh, you don't need any more than that, as that is ripped top corner. Fairfield back in front by way of Rob Moore.
That's some good motivation to come out after a tough end of the first quarter. Creates a little bit of space, just enough. Gets that sidewinding shot off just before the redshirt freshman Fletcher Sullivan gets there. And stepping in front for the Stags.
A nice finish for Rob Moore, now up to 28 points on the season. It's a player who played the first 6 games of last year, missed the rest of the year due to an injury. He also missed a lot of time in the fall season, comes back. That experience level. So yeah, if you're talking about trying to find that extra incentive to go at it, it's all about execution. They say carry momentum from one game to the next. Well, the first half of last week is great, but you didn't get anything from the second. Now today you want to string it for 60 minutes.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot left on the line for Fairfield. The season far from over. In fact, I mean, the biggest stretch just kind of ramping up. And you had mentioned last week, started out well, tied at 7.
As Caffarelli sends it over the mark. Boy, he got a lot of space. That might be the first time we've said that Caffarelli's got any step on any defenders.
Coming up with a little bit of a limp as well in that left leg.
Caffarelli, who missed almost the entirety of the season last year after playing just 3 games. Coach Fisher was pretty open in saying that, yeah, in our sport, you need a little bit of luck. You know, they've had some tough bounces go their way this season, but also injuries as well. Brandon Rispoli, Carter Malone, missing out on this campaign. Fortunate, he did say that both are going to be likely to come back for next season as well. But it's difficult to replace experienced guys. But it's opportunities for others to step up. And Caffarelli, after missing last year, stepped up this year. Nice dodge by Cole, but and kind of altered a little bit.
Monmouth is going to hold on to possession, but just 18 ticks left on the shot clock.
Teets, comfortable for Hirsch. We get a bit of a yard sale though. Shane Elliott breaking his stick in half, trying to block the shot. Fairfield trying to run a little bit here in transition. Nice dodge by Thompson. Ran into a wall of Sean Ketchen, but it's backed up by Fairfield.
Yeah, he had nowhere to go, just trying to get rid of that ball.
So Fairfield will complete their substitution patterns here as Will Consoli sitting on 99 career points coming into today. Just been steady this year, 28 points, down from 40 a year ago, but has done a lot of good things. And there's a flag come flying, and Rob Moore somehow able to finish that.
Back-to-back now for Rob Moore. The last one was from the top, created a little space. This time coming around the edge, gets a little shove from behind, but it does not matter. He finishes.
Well, Moore had a moment earlier this season, having a 5-assist game against Drexel, couple goals, couple assists against Stony Brook, so he's made his mark against league opposition. That was cross check through the back by Fletcher Sullivan. They're going to wipe off the penalty there, and we stay at even strength. Fairfield on a 2-goal run. Nice play by Davis. Kind of no-look backhanded that to Matt Rice. Fairfield and make it take it mode.
11 minutes, 3 seconds.
Devin Lamprin with a couple of goals in the first quarter. Outstanding first-year talent out of Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Went to the Hill Academy in Canada before coming to Fairfield. Now Justin Brown, who's seen a lot of time over the course of league play, gets into the far alley. That's off the side of the cage. It's a good look for Gilbert, just the wrong side of the post.
We've seen Fairfield a lot from the top straight onto the cage and then crashing in. That was the first time that we had seen really one of those wider angled tries, but a lot of space and just off one.
Miles Edmison was claiming a deflection on that pass. Our officiating crew is going to come together here and have a bit of a conversation about this. It didn't look like it took a little bit of a deflection. They are going to send it back over to Monmouth. Our crew today of Mike McCloskey, Robert Ritchie, and TJ Toto, or as told up here before the game, the all alliteration referee crew. I did have to look up alliteration before the game, also just to make sure which one it is. There's one with an A and one with an I.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, thank you, says the teacher to my left. So still 10 seconds to get it on the clear here for Monmouth. After they rearrange the original decision of out of bounds from Edmiston. That pass, whoa, that nearly found a Fairfield stick. That was John Flynn, who wears 20. Been kind of a back and forth type game, a game of runs. Fairfield scored 3 of the game's first 4. Monmouth with 2 straight to tie it at 3. Then Fairfield with 2 quick ones here in the second quarter. Teets goes with Ketchen. Teets already being very impactful in this game. This is Brendan Dundas behind the cage for the Hawks. Jake Schneider and a Caden Kesselring. Kesselring, boy, nearly losing his balance again. It's kind of a fine misting rain out there, but it has caused some problems for the players.
Short time here on the shot clock.
Yeah, Dundas has got to go down to 5. Dundas have to pull the trigger and said, throws that in the middle. Caffarelli just batted out of the air, but a save by Hirsch. How about that, though, from Caffarelli? Great hand-eye and nearly turned something out of nothing.
I think that hit a Fairfield defender in the chest, and he got it off the deflection, tried the quick stick, but Hirsch was right there.
And now Consoli is able to grab that and go. Fairfield haven't really taken too many opportunities to run in transition today. They are dynamic when they have numbers going their way in unsettled situations. Just happy to run on the 6-on-6s. The man of the recent couple of minutes, Rob Moore, will come to this near corner. Moore dodging a goal line extend. Switches it far alley. Good step up. That was by Terrence Lacewell deflecting that shot. Now another conversation by the refs on the backup. And it's back over to Monmouth.
It was Gabe Bowen-Slot who was able to get over there, beating the all-out dive from Moore.
Bowen-Slot, a Rancho Mirage, California native, first team in the league last year. And now Monmouth, credit to their defense. I love the shot blocking mentality. That's not a stat that they keep in college lacrosse. I'd love maybe for it to become one day, but they have been brave with their defending. It's translated to some looks. Cole spinning off, reverses back to Teets. Dodges into a double team. Catching. Relentless persistence by Fairfield in their defensive work. How good Monmouth has been defensively. The Stags have taken it to another level here. Dundas trying to create separation. Shot is wide. On the backup, it will stay with the Hawks. Again, that mentality from the Hawks and still continuing to battle for every 50-50 and every backup. Not treating like this is the last game of the season, treating it like it still means a lot to them. A pop-up, catch and able to collect with 6 on the clock. Teets has to let this one go, saved by Hirsch. And scooped up by Elliott. Now Fairfield looking to push tempo. Here they have numbers, but the pass is behind Radosic. Two poles in there for a moment for Fairfield. Just need to get the right personnel on. And a timeout is going to be taken by Coach Andrew Baxter, and we will step aside with them. But Fairfield on a 2-goal run. They lead 5-3. Stay with us here as you're watching Lacrosse TV.
Our proud partners. Get ready to cheer.
This is where we thrive. The city, the shore, our home.
This is where we chase our dreams. Donde trabajamos duro por nuestra familia.
And serve our communities. This is where everyone, from all walks of life, works together as one team.
This is the place where we grow and become our best selves.
This is Chick-fil-A Tri-State.
Well, Andrew Baxter certainly been enjoying the rewards that his group has given him this season, but the mentality has been very, not only transparent, but very honest. It's all about fundamentals for his team, and if they can execute, that's why they've had all the success this year.
And he's got this team moving in the right direction. I mean, a CAA appearance in the tournament last year and a semis loss to Delaware. They've punched their ticket, and they're looking to get that second seed guaranteed with a win today. And a win today would also be the first time in a full season that Fairfield has gone unbeaten at home. So certainly all good things going. We've talked about the balance in the makeup of this team, especially on the offensive end. It's not just one or two guys that can do you in. We've seen Rob Moore recently today. He scored the last 2 for the Stags. He's been the guy today. We've seen Keegan Lynch have his games. Plenty of guys on this roster make a huge difference.
Yeah, you talk about that potential perfect record at home. Fairfield have had one previous 8-win season at home. That was all the way back in 2005 when Fairfield was playing the Great West Lacrosse League. That was a championship winning team. Fairfield also in a curtailed 2020 season was perfect 4-0 at home. Yeah, they've chance for a perfect full home schedule. Couple of dramatic overtime victories in the process of that, knocking off Lehigh, the defending Patriot League tournament champions. As Consoli lets that fly, but kind of slid off of his stick, might have been deflected.
JJ, it's been interesting. You look at the full slate that Fairfield has played this year, even out of CAA play. You mentioned Lehigh. They had Manhattan early in the season. Sacred Heart as well, another really good squad. They had, before they got into play, a lot of really good tests.
Yeah, congratulations to a Fairfield alum, John Bossy, the head coach of Sacred Heart, guiding them to a regular season championship, and they'll be hosting the MAC tournament next week. Good step up by Bowen Slot, deflecting that pass from Gilbert. The Monmouth play that ball out of bounds. Did reset the shot clock, so Fairfield will have a fresh 80.
Well, it's been a really strong 11-2 showing thus far for Fairfield. Monmouth, on the other end, they've really battled this season, 5-8 so far.
And Monmouth now going to use a timeout here, so again, we'll step aside with 5:35 left to go in the quarter. Back in just a moment.
This is where we thrive. The city, the shore, our home.
This is where we chase our dreams. Donde trabajamos duro por nuestra familia.
And serve our communities. This is where everyone, from all walks of life, works together as one team.
This is the place where we grow and become our best selves.
This is Chick-fil-A Tri-State.
5:35 left to go here in the second quarter. Monmouth using their first timeout of the half. As Brian Fisher wanted to give his defense a little bit of a breather. They've been on the back heels for a large portion of this second period.
This has been a Monmouth team that's been on their heels a bit throughout this season. 5-8 thus far, 2 wins in conference play, but it's been just such an up and down affair. They open the year losing 3, then they win 3, then they lose 3. Now they're 2-2 in their last 4, and a really big win in overtime against Delaware last week. So certainly trying to get back and finish on one of those high notes of the year with another win here against Fairfield. But it's been the Stags offensively that have taken control the last few minutes, thanks to Rob Moore.
And here is Moore with a couple of goals in this game. Gets a goal line extend, goes for a goal. Great trail check. Outstanding work by Hayden Chester. We called his name a couple of times here in this first half. Normally it's Gabe Bowen Slot that gets all the accolades, but there's a couple of pulls getting it done.
Yeah, Chester able to get that stick caught up and not allowing Moore to go up high. But we've seen Rob Moore, just the speed and the ability to create so much space and just get a shot off. That's helped him mightily in the Fairfield offense here this afternoon.
It's one of those where Fairfield, over the course of the season, they've prided themselves on finding those grade A+ chances. And today, Monmouth really haven't given Fairfield much to work with in their 6-on-6. Yes, they've gotten the 5 goals. Yes, Fairfield are out shooting Monmouth, but the Hawks have been good, and they really haven't needed Heller to be great today.
And I think the same is to be said for the Stags defense. They've played really well. Hirsch has made a few nice stops, but he hasn't had to be called upon too much this afternoon.
That's a great play by Austin McClintock, forcing T to throw that one out of bounds. It's another turnover for Monmouth.
Talk about laying the wood there from McClintock, coming right across, and he catches the attacker with a nice clean hit.
The last time that Fairfield hosted the Lacrosse TV CAA Game of the Week, it was McClintock on the other end, getting it done with a goal and an assist and a victory over Hofstra. That was also another one of those tone-setting victories for Fairfield, as Hofstra were receiving votes and all the major polls. Fairfield shot right back up the rankings, currently 18th in the US ILA poll, 20th in the others.
And a win today for Fairfield will guarantee them a matchup with Hofstra.
And a finish by Matt Rice. His final game at home. Matt Rice up to 8 points this year for the short stick middy out of Maryland.
5th of the year from Rice. And a good feed, again, some space on the top, and he buries it low.
And we've seen it a couple of times during this first half where Fairfield have been kind of delaying their substitution patterns and allowing either their short sticks or long sticks to stay on. And that's something that Coach Baxter over the course of the season has really had that chess master mentality of trying to pull away some of the opponent's design setups, and it's worked.
And we've mentioned plenty the balance now, the fourth scorer on the sheet for the Stags this afternoon. Joins Lamprin, Lynch, and more.
Ethan Kronk getting fouled. He'll stay with Monmouth. Back at this time in the first quarter, Monmouth were able to string together a little bit of a rally, but this is the largest lead that any team has had in this game. The Hawks scored twice in the final 2 minutes and 11 seconds, one from Matt Perazzo, one from Sean Ketchen. Jason LeMay Jr. picking up the assist on that, giving now 18 points this year. More than double than what he had all from a season ago. Teets drew the short stick there, didn't take advantage of it. Now Caffarelli's got a short stick on him. Pass was behind the intended target of Dundas, and Fairfield will happily gobble that up. And now they can go a bit in transition here. And slowing it down was Carson Dial. But even then, you see the amount of changed players. You don't have Lamprin on, you don't have others. In fact, it looks like Luke Fisher going to be on this set. And here comes Fisher, but the pass was behind him. Boy, it looked like Fairfield executed that pattern perfectly.
That's the third time this afternoon that just a little bit of an unforced error from a Stag. A pass a little bit behind, a little bit in front. Can't quite connect cleanly.
Fairfield now in double digits with turnovers. If there is a knock on Fairfield, it probably is the turnover game, close to 16 contests, which is about middle of the pack in the league. Fairfield just allowing the 3 tallies. Monmouth, though, creates some separation. That shot goes wide of the mark and backed up by Fairfield. Boy, that was a good look for Teets, but he couldn't convert.
Hirsch was able to get over there quickly, but Teets off the mark, and it's another possession where we haven't talked about Ty Caffarelli. The Fairfield defense has contained him so well thus far this afternoon.
It'll be interesting to see how Fairfield executes this final 90 seconds. They do have a timeout to burn. No doubt that Andrew Baxter and his staff will probably use as much of the clock as they can. Consoli, again, 1 point away from 100 in his career. Extra ball movement. Fairfield trying to slice and dice. Good recovery, though. And now a timeout taken. We will keep it here with about a minute left to go in this quarter, as Fairfield will diagram something. I like this timeout. Set, get a look. Didn't have it. Okay, reassess some things.
And for Fairfield, I mean, you certainly want to end this second quarter strong. We saw at the end of the first quarter, really good push from Monmouth to tie things up at 3, but that Hawks offense has really struggled to find many, if any, good looks here in the second quarter. So for Fairfield, you certainly want to get that lead as big as you can, but you got 46 seconds left on the shot clock, a whole lot of time to create another good look for the offense.
The Stags 11 victories this season. We said earlier, a win today would tie a program single season record of 12 wins. Did that in the 2012 and 2014 season. It's crazy to think the years that Fairfield had pre and coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, where it was just struggle week after week to try and string together success in the CAA. And actually, Coach Fisher was pretty open about it, saying this is one of these things in the CAA where you're going to have a ton of one-goal games. Can you find yourself on the right side of those? And he said, look at Fairfield. 3 years ago, it was on the wrong side of it. And now Monmouth is kind of role reverse with Fairfield, where the Hawks have not been able to pull away with those one-goal games. Said that last week was kind of just a big weight off their shoulders, getting one in overtime, but the Stags have been able to flourish in those high-pressured situations.
Yeah, this year, Fairfield 3-1 in those one-goal games.
including that massive come-from-behind win against Drexel. That was right at the beginning of league action. And I mean, that's where the separation of this league is so little that if you have one day go right for you, all of a sudden you're in, but then you could also be out. So Will Consoli will reset the offense, still half of the shot clock to work with off the timeout. Monmouth do have one to use. Comes to Luka Kupski. 20 on the shot clock. Fronted by Terrence Lacewell. Moore trying to create any sort of separation. Now sets a little pick for Kupski. Lynch with 4. Lynch reverses, good collection. Moore's got a trigger, comes back to Lynch. That'll be a shot clock violation. Outstanding stuff from Monmouth.
Just keeping the Stags away from the crease. A good stop. Now try and get the late score.
Flag comes flying, and Monmouth are going to use a timeout. And oh, that's one there from Fairfield. They did not need to make. That's going to be a slash on the Stags. And now this comes up with a really interesting situation. Do you go for broke here if you're Monmouth on the man up for 10 seconds remaining?
Yeah, this is one of those, it's late. You see that slash stick right to the head. And one where, you know, certainly you'd want to have it back. There's not much of a need for it. It's right, that play right in the midfield. And with such short time at the end of this first half, a silly miscue.
Earlier, Shane Elliott in the first quarter assessed a 1 minute cross check. This is a 1 minute slashing, and I think that's probably, if anything, more frustration for Fairfield coming off of a timeout, not even getting a shot with 45 seconds on the clock. Brian Fisher knows his group at minimum are chasing 3 in the second half.
That's another area. You had mentioned turnovers. That's another one of those areas for Fairfield where they'd certainly like to be a little bit cleaner. They're toward the bottom in the conference now. Their 50th or 51st penalty of the year, and over 40 penalty minutes for this Stag squad.
Yeah, there is kind of that strange theme about it, is they give up a lot of penalties, but their man-down defense at near 74% is one of the best in the country, ranking 12th. So would you offer a coach, would you rather take a lot of penalties and kill them off, or would you take very few penalties but give up a lot of goals? I don't know. At least they get a lot of work.
Yeah.
One more opportunity for Owen Hirsch to keep this game as it is. Hirsch with 5 saves in the first half. I mean, you said it earlier, and I like the way where Hirsch hasn't need to be great because of the fact that his defense has not given him too many tough looks. Let's see how Monmouth executes this with the 10 seconds. It's going to be Teets to trigger.
Fairfield penalty on number 5, Devin
Ketchen
Lambert.
whips it across, down to 5, goal line extend. Fairfield will see off the 10 seconds. No damage done there. And Fairfield, after 30 minutes of play, they lead Monmouth by 3 goals. In fact, Fairfield outscoring the Hawks 3-0 in the last 15 minutes. We'll step aside. Stay with us. Plenty more to talk about. In fact, we will also look ahead to next week's CAA tournament, which, if we fast forward, it's Championship Saturday, but this, the last day of the regular season. You're watching Lacrosse TV, CAA Game of the Week.
This is where we thrive. The city, the shore, our home.
This is where we chase our dreams. Donde trabajamos duro por nuestra familia.
And serve our communities. This is where everyone, from all walks of life, works together as one team.
This is the place where we grow and become our best selves.
This is Chick-fil-A Tri-State.
In an unpredictable world where every moment matters, imagine the peace of mind that comes from knowing your loved ones, lifestyle, and business are all protected. At Meridian Risk Management, we offer tailored solutions, whether for personal, commercial, or benefits insurance. We are here to safeguard what you value most, so you can embrace every adventure ahead. Meridian Risk Management, because your legacy deserves protection.
We're sorry that we only serve crispy, crunchy, juicy chicken. We're sorry that we only use the best ingredients. We're sorry that other chicken sandwiches just don't do it anymore. We're sorry that it's so good.
The best chicken sandwich I've ever had.
Halftime here from Fairfield, Connecticut. Overcast and kind of rainy skies here across Conway Field at Rafferty Stadium, but Fairfield trying to close out a perfect schedule at home. They lead Monmouth 6-3. Alongside Brandon Pelter, I'm JJ Duke. Thanks again for spending your Saturday afternoon with us here. And as we take a look at the highlights from that first 30 minutes of play, Brandon, Monmouth, they haven't gotten a lot going, but they've at least gotten a couple of their key attackers in on the offense.
Yeah, and they really, you see the final 2 goals of the first quarter, they finished out really strong. That was Matt Perazzo behind the back, then Sean Ketchen, the hero from last week's overtime win against Delaware, getting things all knotted up at 3 at the end of the first quarter. And there was the early goal, a really good start from Fairfield. Lamprin getting it started, and the Stags, they had jumped out to a 3-1 lead in the first quarter before the Hawks were able to tie things up. But then as we advance into the second quarter, it was the Rob Moore show, a pair of goals from him. Matt Rice finished things off on the offensive end of things for the Stags, give them that 6-3 lead. They looked well. At times, they were able to create a lot of space, have a lot of good looks. Certainly some room for improvement. And for Owen Hirsch in the cage, 5 stops on 8 shots. He's been tested a couple times, but really the Stags defense has kept a lot away from him through the first half.
Absolutely, and also throw into the mix of the face-offs games. It's actually been a +1 to Monmouth. That's huge for them because they knew they were behind the 8 ball already statistically, but they've been able to keep themselves within it. I feel like that's going to be a big play for them in the second. If they can keep winning, they've got fighting chance.
I mean, that's tremendous. We were looking at one of the best teams in terms of the face-off there. Fairfield winning 56%. Monmouth coming into the day just 43%. Now that's on paper, but as you mentioned, JJ, the way it's played out has been certainly much different. And for the challenges that the Hawks have had in the face-off circle, you look at last week's win over Delaware, they only won 9 of 27. And they still found a way to grit out that win. I think as we start to think forward to the second half, they're going to have to find ways to create space for Ty Caffarelli.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how both head coaches kind of mix and manage the rest of this game, knowing that, of course, Monmouth, they can empty the tank. They want to spoil the homecoming and the final home party for Fairfield. Meanwhile, for the Stags, trying to get momentum, have a better second half. You talked about it earlier. They need a better second half because it wasn't for them last week at Towson.
Yeah, there's still a lot on the line for both of these teams. Monmouth playing loose. They're not going to the CAA tournament next week, but a loose team can sometimes be the most dangerous team. And you said it earlier in the broadcast, the third quarter is their best on the offensive end. For Fairfield, there is a lot left in this second half. They need to continue to tweak things because they head to Maryland on Thursday with a big matchup ahead of them.
And when we come back, we will look at what's to come in the CAA tournament, also catch you up on some of the scores elsewhere as you're watching the Lacrosse TV CAA Game of the Week here from Fairfield, Connecticut, as the Stags lead the Hawks 6-3.
This is where we thrive. The city, the shore, our home.
This is where we chase our dreams.
Donde trabajamos duro por nuestra familia.
And serve our communities. This is where everyone, from all walks of life, works together as one team.
This is the place where we grow and become our best selves.
This is Chick-fil-A Tri-State.
In an unpredictable world where every moment matters, imagine the peace of mind that comes from knowing your loved ones, lifestyle, and business are all protected. At Meridian Risk Management, we offer tailored solutions, whether for personal, commercial, or benefits insurance. We are here to safeguard what you value most, so you can embrace every adventure ahead. Meridian Risk Management, because your legacy deserves protection.
We're sorry that we only serve crispy, crunchy, juicy chicken. We're sorry that we only use the best ingredients. We're sorry that other chicken sandwiches just don't do it anymore. We're sorry that it's so good.
The best chicken sandwich I've ever had.
Welcome back here to Fairfield, Connecticut. We're just a few minutes away from the start of the second half between Monmouth and Fairfield. Funny enough, these two teams were regular rivals against each other in nearly every sport. It was in the MAC when Monmouth played against Fairfield for the better part of a decade. Monmouth moving full-time to the CAA a couple of years ago, and Fairfield said, okay, well, you can't go away too far from us because we still get to square off in a sport, and it's been competitive thus far. Credit both teams' defense have really locked it in over here on this rainy Saturday afternoon. But as we talked about, the regular season ends today. All eyes go to Towson, Maryland next week for the postseason tournament. As for the second consecutive year, the Towson Tigers, the regular season champions, and they will host it at beautiful Johnny Unitas Stadium. We know the four teams that are going to be there. It is going to be Fairfield, Towson, the 1 seed. Fairfield a win guarantees the 2. Last night, I should say, Drexel losing to Delaware 16-12, which makes things very interesting because later on today, Hofstra kind of controls their own destiny to try and avoid Towson. They need to do is beat Towson at home. If they lose to Towson, they're going to play them again next week down in Maryland. So it's going to be really fascinating, but I love this time of the year. Brandon, it's all sports. You get into that one-and-done mentality. And for Fairfield, you know, you look at things right now, their RPI still hovering in that top 20 category, still being ranked. There's going to be questions to say if it's Fairfield and Towson in the final. What says that both teams don't go? Who knows?
Yeah, and I think for Fairfield, what's nice is you just saw them. You saw them last week, and the first 23 minutes you played them even. It was all tied up at 7 apiece in that contest. It was the second half that kind of got away from them. Towson really came into their own and won that final 14-9. But you have an opportunity as the Stags. You control your way, and you could see them playing them for the CAA championship game in just a week's time. So there is a lot of lacrosse left to play. You win that CAA championship, then there's not a question of NCAA tournament for the Stags. But a lot of lacrosse left to play, and still the second half here today, a lot left to continue to work through and keep that defense strong. The offense looking to refine their footing after slowing a bit in the second quarter.
Home field, though, plays a huge advantage. Fairfield, as we've mentioned throughout the course of today's show, a win today means a perfect run at home. But Towson, this year, 5-2 at home. Their only losses were the opening day of the season back on February the 4th to Johns Hopkins by 1 goal. Hopkins were the 8th-ranked team in the country, and the other loss was to St. Joseph's, who are always amongst the favorites in the A-10. And I was looking a little bit deeper in previewing the CAA tournament. When Towson has hosted the CAA tournament, something like 13-3 at home. It's going to be a lot for them to not come away with the title. So it's going to be that just big locked-in mentality for Fairfield. If they want to go on the road and win 2 games, they've got to find something within themselves. But first, they also have to solve Tommy Heller, who at moments has looked really bright.
Yeah, Tommy Heller has been tested. The Stags 9 shots on goal. They've converted on 6. And Fairfield has come from a number of different angles. They've attacked from the top. They've been able to work it down from to the crease as well. They've been creative as they have all year long, and 5 different scores for the Stags.
We continue on the man up, the 1-minute slashing on Fairfield's Devin Lamprin. Monmouth have already had one man-up opportunity, a 1 minute at the end of the first, did not convert. The Hawks this year at just about 40%, including that missed opportunity earlier in the game. And already half of the penalty time has already expired. It comes to Jake Schneider. Ryan O'Rourke reverses. Schneider once again. Sean Ketchin, but not linking up with Schneider. Still 10 seconds. Brendan Dundas finds Schneider with space, reverses near side. Oh, it's a save by Hirsch. He had a really awkward bounce to deal with the shot from Ketchin, and it's snapped up by Fairfield's number 22, PJ McGoldrick. That's such a big save.
Caught him off the face mask, and there was some really good slides from Fairfield. Didn't allow any space for a Hawk attacker to go unmanned, and they get the big kill early.
And Fairfield going to continue to run. This is Andrew Caston. It's a save. Or no, excuse me, it's just wide of the mark. We'll talk about Owen Hirsch staying square to the ball. Literally, because if his head wasn't in that spot, it's a 2-goal game. But we spoke about it in the first quarter where it's so crucial for goalies to get that early stop to settle them in. Hirsch came out probably with about 4 minutes left in halftime and was just peppered with shots from all angles. Didn't work on that point blank effort. Weird bounce, but hey, you got that one out of the way too. Moore beats 2. Lost it, but it stays with Fairfield. Down to 30 on the clock. Will Consoli to his left. Goes wide.
The dodges from Rob Moore this afternoon have been so impressive. He's shown the speed to turn the corner. This time he just sweeps between a pair of defenders trying to sandwich him. And he's already got a pair of goals this afternoon.
Shot clock down to 20 is Keegan Lynch. Working on the crease. And that one goes in. Somehow snuck it to the near post past Heller, and Fairfield continue to add to their lead.
We spotlighted Keegan Lynch earlier today, already an assist. Now another on the tally sheet for Keegan Lynch. Working around the long stick of Mild Edmiston. That hard ride around him, and somehow Lynch gets it off and around Heller, who didn't really even react to that shot.
Didn't react, and somehow Lynch didn't lose his head during that because there's Edmiston's stick basically wrapped around his neck. And this will be a violation on Kronk for Monmouth.
Fairfield Stags goal scored by
Keegan Lynch with his
21,
second now has
Keegan
tallied a pair of goals in 4 straight.
24 points in the league, back-to-back weekends with 2 goal, 1 assist. Fairfield again with changes to their unit. Justin Brown, part of the USA Lacrosse National Development Team. USA under-18s as well. He wears number 9 for the Stags. Someone that's gotten a lot more run over the second half of season. And here is Brown with a head of steam, blows by 2 and scores! There he is, Justin Brown, just his 2nd goal of the season.
Big response in the first 2.5 minutes of this one. Fairfield not going to let Monmouth have a chance. Second time we've seen a Stags attacker work his way around a pair of defenders, and somehow Justin Brown got that shot off. 2 straight for the Stags, and they open up the 5-goal lead.
In addition to the USA under-18s, also played at St. Paul's School. And while I spoke about for Monmouth players, the underclassmen, an opportunity to kind of make your case to get more run next season. For some of the back-end players, second unit guys for Fairfield, this is their last case to say, hey, don't forget about us next week if things go awry. You need a goal or you need a stop. Monmouth having all sorts of issues settling into the offense. Caffarelli gets it into the safe hands of Matt Perazzo. Scored a highlight reel goal going behind the back for Monmouth's first of the game. Luke Cole, met by a double, finds the open man. Oh, what a save by Hirsch! Denies Sean Ketchin point blank.
What a good look from Monmouth. Ketchen caught Fairfield a little late on the slide, so he had some room to work, but Hirsch firing up the bench, the split and the stop.
He is a man that wears his heart on a sleeve, or I should say his stick, and that one leads to a goal. Save on one end. Keegan Lynch goes top corner, and Fairfield are flying.
Always said it to start the afternoon. Fairfield, one of the best offenses in the country, and they had something to prove this afternoon after being stymied in the second half. Lynch creates the goal. You see the point back to his netminder Hirsch, and the Stags are firing.
It's a 4-point day. We saw the goal. This is how it started. What a stop by Hirsch.
Plenty of room for Ketchen, and you just see that right calf able to get down, the athleticism, the stop. 7 saves in the afternoon for Owen Hirsch.
Coach Baxter, over the course of this season, has always spoken so highly about not only the mentality that Hirsch brings onto the field, but that classic glue guy that you have in the locker room, someone that can read the room well, fire them up when they need to. I mean, it doesn't take a lot for Hirsch to get himself going. The rest of the team just feeds right off of it. That is a top drawer save. At this time of the year, if you're a goalie, you're almost now expected to make a couple of those saves just to win a postseason game.
Well, you drew the similarities to hockey the other night, JJ, and it's another similarity there. When you run into a hot goalkeeper, I mean, you have something that you can work with for any team.
Lamprin gets a look, went mid to mid on that release, but it was snapped up by Heller. Devin Lamprin, Coach Baxter said it's almost that classic Canadian box style player. Lamprin, not from Canada, from Pittsfield, Massachusetts, but played at the Hill Academy, outstanding program up north of the border. But he's got that sort of finesse to his game where he can change it on the fly. Monmouth now desperately need a goal. They have been going on the better part of 20-plus minutes without a tally.
They finished the first quarter so well. A pair of goals, Perazzo and Ketchen, that tied us at 3 at the time, but have not been able to cash in since.
Tietz goes behind. Caffarelli had the door slammed on him.
Anytime he touches that ball, he's immediately doubled.
Good to see Joe Constantino for Fairfield back on the field. Where's 41? Had a nasty injury at home earlier this season. And he hasn't seen action in a little bit of time, but he's another one of those short stick middies that can really scrap it in the midfield, make it difficult for good active, trigger guys to get grade A looks. Nice dodge by Cole, but he's met by 4 defenders. Flag comes flying, and it'll be a man-up opportunity for the Hawks, who really, again, if there's a way back into this game, it's got to be the 6-on-5 going.
And so far, the Stags man-down unit has held strong, tying things up. The hit comes in there as well. That draws the flag. Another opportunity for Monmouth, who needs one desperately.
That's a 1 minute. That's Constantino, who we were just talking about, who's going to be assessed the penalty. The Hawks 0 for 2. I believe both times man up haven't had a shot on goal, at least. Because the last possession to begin the quarter was a turnover.
41, Joe Constantino. 1 minute for cross checking at 9 minutes, 9 seconds.
That last one was tricky. I mean, you caught the final 10 seconds of the first half and the opening 50 seconds of the second half. Kind of that weird in-between time where both teams are trying to settle back in. But this is a big one.
Monmouth have the guys who can get the job done, but there's also Julian Radosic, who will just go and hunt the ball. Big 50-50 ground ball here, still being batted around. And once again, it's PJ McGoldrick going down and scooping it.
And a good grab there, a flag drawn as well.
Delayed penalty on Monmouth. So Fairfield, as long as they get the clear, no rush. Matt Rice enjoys instigating contact. I don't think I've ever seen him, as you'll take a look at the foul coming.
There's the big whack to the backside.
I don't think I've ever seen the 4 years of Matt Rice where he doesn't look to actively run through someone. He could have a pathway in front to clear. No, I want to truck someone.
We saw there, he kind of stutter step slowed up at the midfield line just to give a little shoulder.
Yeah, the ice machine always goes on overdrive after a game that Matt Rice plays in. Again, delayed penalty on Monmouth. We're back even 6-on-6. This is wise from Fairfield. I know it's early to talk about game management, but you don't need to rush these looks. The worst thing, 60 seconds come off the clock and then you reset. Will Consoli sitting on those 99 career points. He drives in, Consoli to goal. He lost the handle of it. And now the whistle comes. That was Dominic Giglio who knocked it off of him. But I mean, that's about as perfect of a possession when you're up 6. You're not trying to get a look too quickly.
Well, I mean, it goes back to what you said earlier, and how Andrew Baxter coaches this team in his 6th season. It's about the fundamentals. And even in game management, a clock situation like that, to clearly your team knows what they need to do. You're not in any hurry. Those little things make a big difference, especially when you're looking less than a week away to conference tournament time.
1 minute on Ty Caffarelli.
1 minute for slashing.
It's going to be a slash in Fairfield the first time. Their man-up unit will go to work. Just 8 of 22 on the season are the Stags. Not near the top half, really. Well, they are 4th, but there's a bit of a gap between them and the top 3. You want this unit to also get clicking when you get to the postseason because you have to cash in when you get those moments. Comes to Will Consoli, extra pass. That one over the bar from Luka Kupski.
Going low to high, and that sharp angle look that we haven't seen a ton from Fairfield so far this afternoon.
Still 30 seconds left on the penalty and the shot clock. As Rob Moore has been outstanding here today. Comes to Consoli, no look pass in the middle, and the goal goes in. KJ Delane puts it away, and Will Consoli now 100 career points.
Well, that man-up unit has not had a ton of opportunities for Fairfield here, though, to perfection. Consoli dishes inside, and a good stick handle from Delane to kind of body off the defender, get the shot off. Fairfield continues to click here in the second half.
Another one of those pieces to the puzzle that Coach Baxter and his staff brought in. Delane, former Merrimack player, had 24 points last season. Has had his moments this year. As everyone's still trying to find the ground ball from the face-off. Flag comes flying. Well, Fairfield touched it last, but I think about 6 different sticks had the ball.
Fairfield has now ripped off 7 unanswered.
Yeah, it was a 3-3 ball game at the end of 1, and Monmouth now well over 20 minutes without a goal.
With that assist, Will Consoli has now eclipsed.
You're seeing the replay of the penalty, which will be on Fairfield, but public address announcer is just announcing to the crowd that Will Consoli getting his 100th career point. You can actually just see right at the edge of your picture, there you go, Will Consoli getting the plaudits from his teammates. It's been a kind of a family affair with his brother Colin, former goalie, now on the coaching staff. That's nice. You get to celebrate it together almost. It's difficult being that brother teammate at one point. Now brother is a coach.
Now coach, yeah. What's that dynamic like?
Might have to ask that after the conclusion of this season. But at least you can just go brother and family mode for a second because, hey, accomplishments are always something that should be celebrated. So a 1-minute penalty on Fairfield's number 18.
Fairfield penalty on number 13.
Oh, 13. Okay, they have 18 on the scoreboard. I was about to say Gilbert for 1 minute.
Got him on the cross check there on the ground ball.
Monmouth, they've had opportunities on man up, but they need to convert. And it's a save by Hirsch. Able to force that around the post, or it looked like he forced it around the post. I guess not.
This is the 4th man-up chance for Monmouth. Now the last one cut short with the Caffarelli penalty, but they have not been able to show anything for the conference's best man-up squad.
Well, Fairfield claiming that Matt Rice had the backup, but the official in the opposite corner saying he'll stay with the Hawks as Ryan O'Rourke resets it with 18. O'Rourke back with Nick Teets. Once again, Jake Schneider has had plenty of looks on this man up, and it's a save by Hirsch. Catching practice for the senior out of Pennsylvania.
It was a good rip from O'Rourke, but Hirsch now feeling it, and that one at eye level, right at him. Good stop.
It's crazy to think again with the amount of looks that Monmouth have had. This game doesn't feel like a 7-goal lead for Fairfield. But Hirsch has done the work that he's needed to do. The Fairfield defense has just been as good as advertised.
I mean, you look at the tally sheet, it's just a +3 advantage for Fairfield in terms of shots on goal.
Just efficiency. And Hirsch being a brick wall.
That always helps.
Yeah. Under 5 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Again, Fairfield with the win, they secure the 2 seed. They will wait to see at the end of the day who their opponent will be in the CAA semifinals. It's dodged by Moore once again. Though altered on that pass, it will just trickle out of bounds. It's been on and off rain here throughout the entire day in Southwest Connecticut. Field holding up play slightly. You and I were talking before the game last year, and Fairfield hosted Towson in an absolute monsoon, and basically puddles were forming on the field.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. I mean, you'd see later in the game a shot which would typically go out, so guys are diving to get closest to it and either maintain possession or take over possession. They're diving, and all of a sudden that ball just dies on the turf and stays in play.
Yeah, no one wanted that. In fact, there was a high school game played after that basically you needed a boat to get through. But today it's not been nearly that case. Luke Cole with just 30 on the shot clock, that pass in the middle. And it's the little extra details that have not been there for Monmouth. The execution has been okay. They found the man in good scoring areas. Just, it hasn't come off.
Yeah, they've been able to create some good looks. They've had a little space, but you have a few times where Hirsch just makes an incredible stop, and other times where the slide comes in really well, or the Stags defender. We've seen Radosic and a couple other guys able to get a handle on the stick and not allow a shot to get off. It's been that all-around team effort from the Stags defense.
And Fairfield just perfectly fine with running a bit of clock here. Justin Brown, who scored earlier in this quarter, as the Stags on this 7-0 run. Monmouth are coming up on 30 minutes game time without a goal. Devin Lamprin, who had 2 goals in the first quarter, now cycles near side of Jake Gilbert. Dodged by Jason LeMay. It's a good save. That's difficult from Heller. He had to pick that out through 5 or 6 different bodies.
Edmiston, a good job with the stick as well, just guiding it right back into the crease.
Terrence Lacewell getting a look. Saved by Hirsch. Rebound is put away. Patrick Orapello with the scoop and score. And Monmouth, again, nearly 30 minutes without a goal, but they get their 4th of the day.
Well, the shot goes off. Another good sliding stop from Hirsch, and right on the doorstep, all alone, the easy conversion for Orapello.
I mean, as a goalie, that's the most helpless feeling in the world, because you did your job, give up a rebound, you hope that your defense comes in, and then you just watch the ball go into the back of the net. I was almost thinking for a second, oh, and don't put your hand up. The last thing you need is a ball hitting your hand, and, well, season could be over. It's kind of like a pitcher in baseball with that comeback, or just let it go.
Just the reaction. So hard to stop it.
But remember, this is the CAA. There are no games that are done yet. Monmouth get a couple of face-off wins, a couple of goals. I mean, I've seen it in this league before. 6-goal games going into the final quarter. It's not done and dusted.
And that all goes back to what you've mentioned the last few Fairfield possessions, how smart they've been in terms of managing the game, using as much clock as they can. You're not in a rush, and those are the things that make a difference and stop a team from putting together an impressive comeback.
Ketchen has a little space, forced wide of the mark.
Good job from the Stags defense, pinching him down low. Then Hirsch was able to take that tight angle to the side of the cage.
Dundas to the crease, goes flying through, couple of bodies down, and it's a violation on the Hawks for the crease. Stags cannot hold for the last, but they could basically have the last full possession of the quarter. Matt Rice, he always thinks about it. He's already got a goal today. Best for single season for points. The Catonsville, Maryland native with 8. There is a 4-second differential shot clock to game clock. Come to Luka Kupski, who's been rather quiet here today with 29 points on the season. But these are those days that you see the score line, you have those big scores. Sometimes you don't need to be awesome. Just play your role.
Fairfield has been balanced like they've been all year, with scores from Lamprin and Lynch. Moore getting in on the mix, Matt Rice, Justin Brown as well. KJ Delane.
As Lamprin finds Moore, now 6 on the shot clock. Consoli dodging, finds a man. Shot saved by Heller. Tough chance denying Lynch. Heller trying to scoop up the ground ball. The horn will sound, and that will do it. But Fairfield continuing to add to their lead, which was 3 coming into the quarter. That's been doubled now to 6. We'll have the final period coming up right after this here on Lacrosse TV.
If you've been on the fence about selling your home, now is the time.
So class, in lieu of a pop quiz, we will instead have a pop tailgate. The NCAA Men's and Women's Lacrosse Championships, May in Boston. Buy your seats today at ncaa.com/tickets. So class, in lieu of a pop quiz, we will instead have a pop tailgate. The NCAA Men's and Women's Lacrosse Championships, May in Boston. Buy your seats today at ncaa.com/tickets.
This is where we thrive. The city, the shore, our home.
This is where we chase our dreams. Donde trabajamos duro por nuestra familia.
And serve our communities. This is where everyone, from all walks of life, works together as one team.
This is the place where we grow and become our best selves.
This is Chick-fil-A Tri-State.
Illicit Brewing Company in Fairfield, Connecticut has everything you need for a night out. Dozens of house-brewed draft beers, guest taps, a full bar, live entertainment, dozens of TVs to catch the game, a speakeasy and game room, brew pub style food offerings, and more. This commercial isn't long enough to show you everything Illicit has to offer. So come see it for yourself. Illicit Brewing, 111 Black Rock Turnpike in Fairfield. IllicitBrewing.com.
We're sorry that we only serve crispy, crunchy, juicy chicken. We're sorry that we only use the best ingredients. We're sorry that other chicken sandwiches just don't do it anymore. We're sorry that it's so good.
The best chicken sandwich I've ever had.
Well, it was 3-3 after 1. Fairfield now lead 10-4 heading into the final quarter. However, Tommy Heller playing in his last career game. Some of that's had a above 50 save percentage against league opponents. He's kept it to within a manageable deficit. Again, crazier things have happened in this league. And Owen Hirsch on the other side with his 9 saves today. He knows the day is not quite done. Dylan Smith with the faceoff win for Fairfield. It was a Monmouth +1 at halftime. Fairfield have now leveled it and, in fact, have taken the lead on faceoffs. And they'll get things going here to begin the fourth. J.J. Duke, Brandon Pelter here with you from Rafferty Stadium. Thanks for spending your afternoon with us here in what is the final game for both of these teams of the 2025 regular season. Fairfield will be going to the postseason for the second consecutive year in the CAA, and Monmouth will be ending their campaign and trying to do it on a high note. Lynch, great pass to Consoli. He was closed down well by Gabe Bowen-Slot. And then a turnover. Fairfield still trying to hunt that ground ball, but scooped up by Edmiston, who, we called his name a lot today, Miles, but he's done a little bit of everything for the Hawks.
Yeah, and he's picked up a couple ground balls. He's had the stick in there to shut off a couple of Fairfield tries on the offensive end.
Again, seeding for the postseason tournament still yet to be decided. That will be finalized after the conclusion of the Towson-Hofstra game down in Hempstead. 4 p.m. start. And then we will see how the field will shape up going into Towson next week. Thursday is the semifinals. Saturday is the final. This is something you spoke earlier about, how Fairfield have kept the likes of Caffarelli and Ketchin and so many others quiet. It reminded me of the Fairfield victory against Hofstra, where Drew Bogardus, such a talented attacker, was kept not only off the board, but really without a sniff of the ball in settled offense.
I mean, we've seen Caffarelli a handful of touches, but not more than that this afternoon.
This is how locked in this Fairfield defense is. Of course, as I say that, it's a great feed to find Teets, who puts it away. Kind of a muted celebration, but Monmouth knows getting that first one on the board is so crucial.
And after Fairfield rips off 7 in a row, now 2 straight, Teets just wide open on the doorstep. And a good feed coming from the top as well. I believe that was Luke Cole with the give.
Give Cole his 3rd assist of the season. And Teets now a multi-goal game. In fact, actually just the 2nd multi-goal game that he has had this season. The other was against Wagner, all the way back at the end of February. A face-off win off a violation. Again, that's where in this league you never quite know. You have to be able to lock it in for the full 60 minutes. Monmouth, they know that. They had to lock it in last week. They had the late lead against Delaware at home, give up the equalizer, but then an overtime winner from Ketchin. And for Monmouth, they also don't have to rush any of these sequences. Just find that grade A chance. O'Rourke dodging against Julian Radosic. Radosic, who's caused, by the way, 5 turnovers in this game. Earlier on the season, he set a program record with 7 against Lehigh in the opener, but Teets gets another one. That completes his hat trick.
Well, he just had a wide open look on the doorstep. This time, a little more creativity from Teets. So he's able to dodge there, create some space, and then he just goes 5-hole, little tip of the cap, and just like that, this is a 4-goal game. You mentioned it, JJ, plenty of time, 12:04 on the clock. If your mom is looking at another face-off win and try and get right back into the offensive end.
It's Landon Parker who's going to take this for Monmouth. He's 4 of 8 on the day. Going up against Daniel Davis, who's 6 of 12, and Davis wins it clean. Davis has played a crucial role for Fairfield over the course of the season when Dylan Smith went down with an injury before the Providence games. That was against Manhattan at the end of February, and Davis got regular reps, facing off at 54%. He's also added the likes of Mark Durling in there a few times. Jonathan Lewis has seen some run. In fact, Lewis actually in 6 games this year, facing off near 70%. So there's depth, and that's a scary thought to think that if you're Coach Baxter, it's not working quickly next week, you have guys you can go to. Usually if you get beyond 2, there's a problem, or a pull. It's probably likely a pull.
all of a sudden, Fairfield, a little pressure on the offensive end of things. After such a strong second and third quarter, now you want a response. You need something this possession, 30 ticks left to shoot.
Fairfield outscoring Monmouth 7-1 in the second and the third quarter. In fact, Monmouth, the third quarter, that's the highest scoring quarter of the season for them with 43 goals. Oh, it's a save. Jumping up was Heller, still trying to scramble that ball. He gets tripped. That's a push. Either way, possession back to the Hawks. That's a real nifty save there from the grad student.
And a good look from Heller, who, as we've said, Brian Fisher told us is playing his best lacrosse here in the final few games of the season. Comes up with a good stop now to give his offense another try.
You bet that bench is going to get even more fired up if they get a goal right here. That's why you never sleep in this league on any sort of deficit. Because all of a sudden get a few bounces to go your way, a few saves, a couple of face-off wins. It's a brand new ball game. Hayden Kesselring. Now to the man with the hot stick at the moment in Nick Tietz with his hat trick. Gives it off. Brendan Dundas, who's pulling the strings earlier in this game from behind the goal. Now at the apex of the offense. Kesselring just shadowed by Jason LeMay Jr. Tietz gets past his man, trying to find Caffarelli, pass too tall. Still with Monmouth though, down to 10 seconds. Got to go here, Ketchin goes underneath. Perazzo with the dodge. Perazzo throws it into the mixer and LeMay Jr. takes it away.
Looking for Caffarelli one more time. And if that passes on the mark to tie, he'd have his best look of the afternoon. It's a bit too tall. Then you get the takeaway on the second try.
That was such a mature take there by LeMay Jr. He wanted to instigate some early offense, realized no, there's no need to do it. Didn't have the right personnel on the field. Now he comes off.
We saw that late in throughout the third quarter as well for Fairfield. Tempered, smart. Now you'd love to have a response.
Zakupski already half of the shot clock used here. Trying to generate some one-on-one offense. Goes to Lampre and saved by Heller. He's really starting to see the ball nicely here and what could be the final quarter of his collegiate career. Now here comes Terrence Lacewell with the head of steam. For a second there, Hayden Chester realized that, oh, wait, I've got help behind me. Hirsch with the save, loose rebound, and no one able to gobble it up. He's in double figures with 10 stops.
That's good stop, especially after the last Tietz goal that kind of beat him 5-hole. Dundas looking to go to a similar spot.
And Fairfield go early with the offense, and they get the goal. It's risky, but with the ball's in the hands of Jake Gilbert's stick, you rely nicely.
He had such a good look there, some room on the good feed. He's just a couple steps outside of the women's crease, and he buries it. A huge response to stop the bleeding a bit and stop that Monmouth 3-goal run.
It's now 7 different goal scorers for Fairfield. And Monmouth are going to take a timeout. We will step aside as well. 8:02 left. Monmouth were surging, but Fairfield restores a 5-goal lead.
Order online or
This is where we thrive. The city, the shore, our home.
This is where we chase our dreams. Donde trabajamos duro por nuestra familia.
and serve our communities. This is where everyone, from all walks of life, works together as one team.
This is the place where we grow and become our best selves.
This is Chick-fil-A Tri-State.
Monmouth taking a timeout with 8 minutes left to go, knowing that this might be the last stand here for the Hawks. Started this quarter well with 2 unanswered. Getting it to what was at a point a 4-goal game. Jake Gilbert gets the goal to make it back to 11-6. I was a little surprised, Brandon, how Fairfield went quickly, but as long as you score, then you score.
Yeah, and it felt like the Stags just needed one. Just got to get one. And certainly game management has been important. We've talked about that a bunch, but you want to stop that 3 straight from Monmouth, put one in the back of the cage, really start to assert your dominance here in the fourth, and that continues winning the draw.
And no doubt Andrew Baxter would use that timeout taken by his counterpart and Brian Fisher, saying, hey guys, now we're at that stage here where you've got to be looking to take 60 seconds off every shot clock. Expect the doubles to come flying in. So you have to be safe and secure with the ball and just see this one out. In fact, this goes back to their game against Brown back on February the 15th, where Fairfield were leading comfortably, and it felt like at times in the fourth quarter it was one of those and one mixtape tours where guys are trying crazy shots. In fact, it was, I believe, Luke Fisher, right as Fairfield called a timeout, he nearly bowled one in from the corner by midfield. Actually did go in, but it was after the whistle came. This is where now the evolution and the maturation for Fairfield, knowing that, hey, in this situation next week, we may not be afforded a 5-goal lead, we might have a 2-goal lead, but we've got to see it through. And seeing it through past the goalie is Keegan Lynch. He gets his 4th of the day.
Lynch there took a second to pop back up. I think taking a bit of a hit to the leg, but you see the feed, quick release, and beats Heller low. Fairfield trying to seal this victory. And this would seal that 2nd seed as well.
Which now also for the Stags confirm in all 3 of their conference home games, scoring a dozen or more goals in every game. They come from behind, 12-11 victory over Drexel, 14-10 over Hofstra. This would not be the lowest defensive output if the score remains the same to finish. But 6 goals allowed, and with the late games of the season, your defense will take a lot of momentum going into next week. And look at Daniel Davis causing the turnover after losing the faceoff. No, actually, referee way behind the play, calling a foul on the Stags. Take a look at this one here.
It took quite some time. Completely ripping the stick away.
So I think if there is someone to make that call on, it would be 12 Andrew Caston, probably for tying up the man to allow Davis to come over the top like that, because Davis gets ball and stick, but in a legal variety. But the referee was right on top of the play, so he had the perfect view of it. Pass takes a deflection, Teets hustling. Stay with Monmouth. Officiating crew have had a few of these deflections. Oh, now a near side judge reverses. So kind of a strange one. That last foul that we had was from the trail referee. Now the referee that had the closest view to is overruled.
I agree with you, though. I saw a deflection.
Six minutes to play here. The Stags will try to use a bit of the clock. The rain starting to come down a little bit harder. It was that deceptive near brightness that we got to end the third, come into the fourth, and all of a sudden, it's probably the hardest that we've had rain during gameplay. This is where poncho sales go up, for those that forgot to bring the jacket. Justin Brown finding LeMay, saved by Heller. Heller up to 9 stops this afternoon.
Nice one there, and a bit of a short hop to him.
Heller coming into today 4th in the CAA in saves per game at 11.6, and also 3rd in save percentage. He's getting a lot thrown at him. Just the middle part of the game that Fairfield were able to turn the style points on. Outscoring Monmouth 7-1 between quarters 2 and 3. Style points there for Teets. That's his 4th of the game.
And we've seen now a couple different looks from Nick Teets and his ability to finish. Last two were on the doorstep or tight to the crease. This time he uses the pick and creates a little space, fires high, and beats Hirsch.
Teets' previous high this season was 2 goals against Wagner. He's doubled that.
I think it was Orapello who set the pick at the top to create some of that space for Teets.
In fact, it is a new career high for Nick Teets, and playing his final game with Monmouth with a 4-goal output. Trying to end it on a high note. Teets up to 40 career points as well, and Monmouth with another takeaway. Terrence Lacewell, who's done the job in between the restraining lines. But now it's a little bit different from the start of the quarter, with Monmouth chasing a rather large deficit. Now you need to go and be efficient, effective, and get it done probably within 20 seconds of every shot clock. Luke Cole playing a 2-man game. Teets gets barreled over, shot gets blocked, bounce to Ketchen. Sean hesitates, his shot was blocked, still being fought for. Turnaround is denied by Hirsch. That was Caffarelli, but Hirsch head on a swivel, making his 11th save. Good work by KJ Delane, battling off Gabe Bowen's slot to keep the ball on. In the final 3.5 minutes here is Fairfield trying to wrap up one of their best seasons in program history here today. The win for the Stags would tie a single season record, 4 wins with 12, done back in 2012, 2014. Also would be the first time in program history in a full season to have a perfect record at home. Won their first 7. So they're on their way to 8. As that one ripped home, Luke Akupski with the goal.
Now that should be the icing on the cupcake at this point, as the Stags extend the lead to 6. We saw plenty of fight from Monmouth down the stretch, but the Fairfield offense just too much. Getting that shot off ahead of the defender who was trying to close out, and a good finish.
One more timeout taken, and we will step aside for the final time here this afternoon. Fairfield leading 13-7. You're watching Lacrosse TV.
This is where we thrive. The city, the shore, our home.
This is where we chase our dreams. Donde trabajamos duro por nuestra familia.
And serve our communities. This is where everyone, from all walks of life, works together as one team.
This is the place where we grow and become our best selves.
This is Chick-fil-A Tri-State.
Well, Fairfield taking a timeout. You see Monmouth coming together, trying to get 1 or 2 more solid possessions. Owen Hirsch, don't need to give him any extra reason to get fired up. Seeing also a number of changes coming onto the field. Classy here by head coach Andrew Baxter, bringing on a number of graduate students and seniors onto the field. So 35, Caleb McNall in bottom right of your picture. That's Christopher DeBellis. just giving seniors one more opportunity to play at home here in Rafferty Stadium, this outstanding lacrosse facility here. Dylan Smith, regular face-off taker, but also on his graduate year.
Assisted by number 50, Rob Moore at 3 minutes.
Seeing PJ McGoldrick, who's played a little bit of time today. He's in on this set. Joe Constantino also on the field. Monmouth as well. Maybe some rotations might be coming. Matt Perazzo now with Teets, who's ending his senior season on a real high note with the 4 goals today, accounting for more than half of the team's offense. Oh, what a check. There's Christopher DeBellis making a play. Senior from New Jersey. Didn't see the field at all last year. You see that big brace on his knee, but nice play there. Again, those are the little moments that you take forever.
Great to have at the end of your final season of the collegiate career, and certainly for Fairfield, a lot of lacrosse left to play.
And with the goalie out, Fairfield will take one more. Luke Fisher, graduate student, gets the tally.
Fairfield certainly clicking, and this is going to be a good win for the Stags. On paper, it won't look too close, with now the tally 14-7, but at the end of the first, this was a 3-3 game, and the Stags offense was able to click, ripping off 7 straight. The defense really settled in, and I think really for this defensive unit, this was so important, especially to stop a guy like Ty Caffarelli. If the Stags have it their way, they'll be playing potentially Towson again with a lot on the line a week from today, and they've got a ton of weapons. Mikey Weishar, who was voted as the conference player of the year in the preseason, and certainly lived up to it.
DeBellis, that would have been a moment for him, going for a goal.
Everyone loves a long stick goal.
Fairfield have had a fair few of those over the course of this season. Also seeing 56 Charlie McFadden on the field, grad transfer from Skidmore on for the Stags. 24 Jack Savarese, former Stevens player. Will likely be the last possession for Monmouth. And how about this? 27 coming onto the field with the ball right now. That's Will Brimhall. That's the older brother of Fairfield women's lacrosse defender Delaney Brimhall. So a nice moment for the Brimhall family having one. Will playing in his 5th game, Annapolis, Maryland product. I was hoping to see him at some point today just to get that one out there as Monmouth turned the ball over. A word, though, on Monmouth, and we talked with Coach Fisher in the build-up to this, talking about how, this is a group that offensively have so many different talents and weapons to go through. Yes, a little bit of a struggle spot today. They do graduate some key players, but you can see the core that Coach Fisher is building. There's going to be something there for this team in the next couple of years.
Absolutely, and we talked at length about Ty Caffarelli today. Just a junior attacker. It already feels like he's done so much, but missed most of last season, appearing in just 3 contests. His opening year, one of the best players in the conference as a rookie, and he's put up great numbers this season as well.
There's a foul on Fairfield, so one final look at it for the Hawks. Here is Brimhall. Had a couple of points against Hampton earlier this season. Flag comes flying, and there will be one more man up coming for the Hawks. You can't pull the goalie in this situation, but this would be the one where if you had the chance, you'd go for it.
It's a cross check, and if there's one thing to knock the Stags on this afternoon, it's the penalties. That'll be the 5th on the Stags.
5th on the Stags, but Fairfield have killed off the previous 4.
Against an impressive man-up unit for Monmouth.
Monmouth coming in today above 40%, best in the conference, top 20 in the country, but this man-down defense, which entered today at 12th in the nation at 74%, that number's going to go up regardless what happens here. Monmouth will cycle it near side. O'Rourke passes to Caffarelli, who ends the season on a high with the goal. Ty Caffarelli gets it to go. He had that 6-point game against Udell last week, and I know it's not the way he wanted to end the season on, but his last moment is putting the ball in the back of the cage.
Yeah, he had to get one today. We've talked about him so much. Now 34 on the air for the junior from Newport Beach, California, and just a little off balance. Didn't get off the hardest shot, but got to the back of the cage, and he'll get one in the waning seconds.
But Fairfield, it is their moment, though, is with 3.5 seconds left. The faceoff will go. Fairfield will win their 12th game of the season, which ties a program record. And also, for the first time in Fairfield men's lacrosse history, they play every game of a completed season at home and win every game. A perfect 8-0. The Stags will not play any further games, at least as far as we know. You never know in the postseason, but at least next week in the CAA tournament they will travel. But Fortress Rafferty Stadium, it started and completed, and the Stags still hope that maybe this momentum carries into next year. Who knows? Maybe next May. We'll be playing the postseason here.
Yeah, there's certainly still a lot of lacrosse left to play for this year, but the regular season ends on a high. 12-2, 5 wins in conference play, and there is still a lot left on the line as they get ready to travel to Towson, Maryland, coming off of the loss against Towson last week, 14-9. A frustrating defeat there, and they'll be playing semifinal lacrosse next Thursday night.
Season comes to an end for Monmouth, 5-9, 2-5 in the CAA. Congratulations to all the graduating members of Monmouth men's lacrosse, and we wish them all the very best for what comes next for them. Fairfield, 12-2, 5-2. They are going to be the 2 seed, but they'll have to wait till the end of the day to see who their opponent is in next week's 2025 CAA Men's Lacrosse Championship Tournament. That's going to do it for us, for our entire crew here in Fairfield, Connecticut. For my broadcast partner, Brandon Pelter, I'm JJ Duke, saying so long. You have watched the Lacrosse TV CAA Game of the Week as the Stags finish off the regular season on a high with a 14-8 victory over Monmouth.